job as a CV is to get you to interview. So how can we make it do that job in the best way possible? Stick to 2 to 3 pages. For really experienced people, I always think 2 pages isn't enough, probably. 3 pages is fine if you've got the experience to use in that space. And I always say, start with a really nicely honed profile, which talks about the type of role that you're looking for, what motivates you, why you're passionate about the sector. Kind of 3 to 4 lines. It's really succinct, but shows really who you are as best as it can in that kind of quite short space of time, and then goes through each of your roles. And I always think it's nice to have job title, organisation, and dates, so month and year there, and then a really short paragraph, 2 to 3 lines. It sort of says, this is the charity, maybe an international development charity, where the main part of my role was X, Y, and Z, so a really brief synopsis, and then key responsibilities, and then bullet points of a list of main things that you do in your role, and then do that back over all of the jobs that you had that are relevant.
People will often go to their job description and just copy and paste the duties and responsibilities across the CV. Now that's a big no-no, because essentially what we're trying to find out is what you achieved whilst we're in that role. And what often people will do is put what they were asked to do. So and often what I say to them is to make your way through the job description in terms of what you were asked to do, but think about it from the perspective of what you achieved.
It's almost like, do you remember when you were at school and they would say maths exams, remember to show your work? Don't assume that they know what you've gone through. And I always explain it to people that way. I say, just don't assume that they're going to know that you arranged that, you were responsible for that blog post or whatever it might be. Tell them, you have to tell them.
But I think it's really important to get all the important information in that first page. So I've spoken to people who say, I don't even read the second page of the CV, I actually just read the first page. And they will just glance at it, and some people do kind of spread things out. So if you've got good achievements in, say, your jobs further back, you kind of want to move those to the top, and the easiest way to do that is to have an achievement section, key achievement section at the top, which is saying, bringing out all those really exciting things.
I think you're really proud of as well. Yeah. And one thing I think that people should always look out for is when they update their CV, go back and put old roles in the past tense. Be quite snappy if you can. Don't use really long sentences. There's kind of triggers, I think, that lose people's interest along the way, and I think that if you're writing if there's a lot of bulk of text, people kind of don't know where to start if they're skimming. So anything that is an achievement, like you've said, or anything in bold. I quite like it when there's clear bullet points of achievements or responsibilities, and certain things are in bold. So your eye just naturally goes to them, and that works really, really well.
A consistent format as well.
Yes.
Like a very clear, clean, consistent format. No messing up the dates and putting some at the end here and then moving it at the front here. One of the sort of tips that I always give my candidates as well is to have a look through the job description that they're applying for and highlight keywords. So that's things like relationship management or relationship building, budget management. So all of the key things that they're looking for is when they're looking through your CV, they're going to want to see those words.
The other thing I would say when writing CVs is try to be careful of using jargon. I think that's a really important one, particularly if you want to move into the sector from another sector. I think really, once you've written your CV, a good tip would be to go through it and think, if I didn't know my business area or my charity, would I know what I'm talking about here?
I think human behaviour just gets us to not sell ourselves enough. We're so good at not selling ourselves enough. And I think as recruiters, we need to be able to look at a CV and say, I actually think there's more to this CV than... But not everybody does that. And essentially you have to try and get it right. And the way that I see it is almost like a bouncer at a club. It's like, as a clientele, you want to be able to convince that bouncer that you're good enough to be in there.
And that's what it's for, is to get you in.
Yeah, it's to get you in that club.
Yeah.
And if you succeed, then you're gonna, then you get your interview and so on. But that's the first step initially. It is just trying to get as much of your skills and your experience and you as a person into those couple of pages.